If there is more Bitcoins held with these third-party custodians, what risk does that pose, having greater supply held by fewer large institutions? Does that increase the risk of seizure and confiscation like we've seen with gold? And is that not exactly what Bitcoiners don't want to happen?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think that when the Bitcoin is held by a bunch of crypto anarchists who aren't regulated entities, who don't acknowledge government or don't acknowledge taxes or don't acknowledge reporting requirements, that increases the risk of seizure. If a country in desperation, if China knew that there were underground crypto traders with billions of dollars of Bitcoin in their midst that didn't pay taxes, the Chinese would probably try to shut that down, and that's what they do. So normally the risk is greater when they're unregulated private entities that are perceived to be holding the asset. When you have regulated public entities like BlackRock and Fidelity and JP Morgan and State Street Bank holding the asset, well, all the lawmakers and all the law enforcement arms, they're invested in those entities, right? So there's no way that all the senators and all the congressmen are going to seize the assets from Fidelity and BlackRock or Vanguard, because that's where all their retirement money is invested. So the asset moving from private to public hands and moving into regulated entities, it does a bunch of things. It decreases the volatility. It decreases the risk of loss. It decreases like, who do you trust more as a custodian, FTX or Fidelity, right? Or Vanguard or State Street, right? And if you walk down the street and you said, would you put all your family's money in an offshore entity without a headquarters run by 5 dudes without an auditor? Or would you put it with a bank that's too big to fail in the US? Right? Like, at the end of the day, you have an OG crypto community that's very hardcore about it, but if you look at where all the money is, 99.9% of the money is actually in the traditional economy. And in the war for the future of money, the war's going to be won with money, right? I mean, right? At the end of the day, Bitcoin is capital. Who's going to actually decide who's the winner or the loser? The people with the capital. And so where's the capital? It's at Vanguard, Fidelity, State Street, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. They're all regulated entities of sorts. So when Bitcoin is held by those entities, it becomes regular and normal. And, people would no more think about seizing that than they think about seizing a building in the middle of Manhattan or seizing, the S&P Spider assets. Why would you do that? That's just the capital that you built the country on.
Well, if you